And welcome to the Midday Show. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. We have some Father's Day thoughts. We also want to talk about owning a home and what does that even mean today. If you're from Pennsylvania, you might be a Sixers fan. We're going to talk about Ben Simmons, but we're going to take it at a different angle. And then today is a ridiculous amount of holidays. We're going to go through them and just make sure that you know about them and we can talk about how ridiculous they are. But before anything else, the most important question of every day, Mark, how are you feeling?
Well, I have lots of answers to this question. First of all, it's the mid-morning show today because we just decided since Jeff is at the beach.
I am.
And when he checked in, he's like, he said, I feel like I'm squinting. Should I put on sunglasses? And I was like, no, because like people hate you already because you're at the beach and we're not. So they will hate you. Like you're just rubbing our face in it. But so back in the studio, like I will put on my sunglasses for a different reason because Jeff likes to work in the dark and we share an office space. So when Jeff's not there, like sometimes we have the overhead lights on, sometimes we have lamps on. Today, now that I'm here, I have every light. I have the lamps, I have the overhead, I have my phone flashlight on. So it is as bright as possible because I can get away with it because Jeff's not there.
See, this is why you didn't want me to put the sunglasses on because you had already planned to wear yours.
No, I thought
you
about
didn't
it
want me. You didn't want me
after
upstaging you
this
by putting them on. Father's Day was yesterday. You brought up I am not a father. You are a father. But you might have some things you want to say about it.
Well, I wanted to give you some fatherly advice because there is a chance that this girlfriend of yours will actually want to procreate with you. Procreate. I don't know why she would want to do that, but there is a chance. And just in case. So yesterday on my Father's Day, it depends what everyone did on their Father's Day and what they think is cool. My daughter went to this. She takes this summer class at this college in Ashland, Ohio. Both my daughters have done it. So it's like nerd camp for a year. Like you and I used to go to basketball camp or baseball camp or whatever.
Sure.
She goes 2 years ago. She couldn't go last year because of COVID. She took a class on Lincoln. Now there's a class on American historical documents and how they relate to something. I don't know. And that's what you did. But so for my Father's Day, I drove to Ashland, Ohio and back, which is like 5 hours each way, which immediately a lot of people think, oh, God, that's awful. But on the ride out, I got 5 hours alone in the car with me and just my 17-year-old daughter. And for those of you who have teenagers, you know, we go through this phase of life where when they're young, you like can't get away from them. They're always like, mom, 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 dad, dad, dad. And they say mom a lot more than they say dad. I'm not going to debate that. But then you get to a point where they're teenagers where not only do they say that a lot less, in many cases, they stop saying it at all and they don't want you around at all. And there's valuable time in the car, even if it's like 5 minutes to the store. I remember my ex and trying to organize carpools for basketball camp when my kids, God forbid, went to Lancer Lightning Camp and all that crap.
Right.
And she's organizing all these carpools. I was like, no, I'll drive them every day because I want to be in the car, even though it's just, those kids are for 5 minutes. The pickup was different, but I was like, I know the coach is there. I know the people there, so I can BS with them for a couple minutes. But I want those minutes in the car. I don't need the carpool. So it is an aspect for you, for other young parents who are in that moment where like, oh my God, the parenthood is so constant. You will get to a point where right now you want time alone. You're going to get to a point when they're teenagers where you're getting way more time alone and you can't even fight your way into their lives. So anytime you can get in the car, like my ex and I discussed, should we fly her out? I was like, no, I want to drive her out. And we listened to BuzzFeed Unsolved. Have you ever listened to BuzzFeed Unsolved?
I have not.
There's one, we'll talk about this. They do all kinds, the death of Harry Houdini, the death of Edgar Allan Poe, also the sketchiness of the 2002 NBA playoffs between the Sacramento Kings and the Los Angeles Lakers. We listened to Michael Jordan's mysterious retirement. Like they cover the spectrum. It is brilliant stuff. But that's what we listened to on the way out. And it was a really, really good time. So as you get old, time in the car with your kids, it doesn't suck. Now I know they have they put those in and they're like, I don't want to listen to you, Dad. But you can force them not to.
There is it's almost like an upside down bell curve to like kids and their parents. Cause even though I'm not a parent, I have gone through it as well. Like there were certain points in my life where like I was around them and it was and then I went through this spell where it was kind of like, I didn't want to be around the house. There were so many other things going on. I just felt like I was missing out if I wasn't out and doing stuff. And then it kind of came back in where I almost all of a sudden, like I was looking forward to it. So I'm sure during that lull, what you're explaining, most parents experience where there's almost, I don't want to say like, you don't want to be stuck in the car with your kid. Like it's awful to say that, but there is this moment where like, it is nice to be with your kid in an environment where it's just you two, but then vice versa. It's also nice to have a moment to yourself where just it's you and nothing else is going on. So it is weird how it's like catch-22, right? Like it goes both ways.
You know, Ed Rogers, the girls basketball coach at Muncie. Yeah. His kids are older than mine. He's a little older than me. I remember asking him this question once. Ed's a funny guy. And I said, how that transition from being like, you're my dad and you're really cool to you're annoying and stay away from me. He said, I think with my one daughter, it seemed to happen like all in one weekend. Like Friday, I was still cool. By Monday morning, like, get the hell away from me. So, right. Yes, we have all gone through it. But, and I had a friend of mine who is a good friend, and he told me that they would go through it because they have 4 kids. And they like, if they had to run to the store and get milk for 5 minutes, that there were times they would grab a kid and say, hey, you're going with me. Just because then they got 10 minutes alone in the car and you could talk and find, and it's amazing how much in our lives we can't get it at home. Even if we we'll sit down and watch this together, we'll have dinner together, but just to have like just one-on-one conversation sometimes is so hard with your kids because we're so busy and depending on their age.
Oh yeah. That was the neatest part about your trip is you kind of got the best of both worlds.
Yeah. And then on the ride home, I don't mind traveling by myself.
Right.
I told this to Jerry, you listen to what you want. You don't listen to what you want. You stop when you want. Like I came home I was like, if I get tired and need a hotel, I get a hotel. If I not, I just rock it on through and I'll make it home for the NBA and the NHL playoffs. And it was paced out perfectly, except Las Vegas scored in overtime too early. So we watched the NBA game. I didn't get to watch the NHL game, but oh well.
Yeah. So this was I sent this to you. I thought it was really neat. There was a Bloomberg opinion piece and it was titled, America Should Become a Nation of Renters. And the whole idea is the American dream was built on this idea of you become a homeowner and now you have some equity and you own something and you kind of build, you accumulate money or wealth up through it. And that idea is, I don't want to say it's dead, but the idea that's presented in this opinion piece is that it is. And what does that mean for America if the American dream is no longer home ownership? You are obviously in realty. There's like 2 or 3 different ways I would go off of this. But just like as a realtor, like when you hear that headline, like what's the first thing that goes through your head?
Well, there's parts I can see where they're coming from. There are some people who shouldn't buy, like depending on where you're at in life. And it's expensive up front there. As you're going to talk about here, there's costs you don't see because you've never home owned. And
no, I haven't. So let me start here. And I've expressed this to you. I 100% see why you would own a home. I 100% see how you would accumulate value by owning a home. But for me, and I've always said this, like I do not have a family. For the most part, I am debt free. I am not married. And so for me, I have always saw home ownership as something that actually in the short term kind of drained my freedom as far as time and finances go. The example that I always give to people, and this is not a reason to not buy a home, I'm not saying that, but the example I always give to people is I'm probably like 10 to 12 years into like adulthood, and I've never owned a mower. I've never had to run a mower. So I've never had to pay for it. I've never had to invest time into it. I've never had to do any of those things. So for me, like if you start adding it up and you just look at the cost of owning a home and what goes into it in the short term, I've never understood the value if you don't have certain responsibilities, if you don't have kids, if you don't have debt, you're paying off all these things. So short term, I was just always like, I don't think I want to own a home right now.
Well, and you have kind of, I don't want to say a nomadic lifestyle, but you have, like, depending on what basketball job would have opened up for you, you would have picked up and gone. And so in your world, you would have seen it as kind of an anchor. And there's a lot of people who see that home ownership would be an anchor. The other side of it, why lots of people should own a home, is that you get to control it. You don't have a landlord who can jack your rent for no reason, who can sell it out from under you and end your lease. And there are people who are like, they want that control over their own property, that if they do make improvements, if they do additions, or just upgrade a kitchen or whatever, they don't want to put money into something that the other person can turn around and sell it then. So that, if you're planning on being in the same place for a while, if you're happy with your job, if you have kids and you like your kids in the school district and you want to keep your kids through that school district, then home ownership is much better than renting if you can, because it gives you those, I don't know, like, and even financially in the long term, it works out much better.
Sure.
But yeah, there are, I think the point of it is, and having not read the article, but having you brief me on it, that we were brought up with this, you know, the American dream is, you know, to get married, to have a couple kids, and to have a home. And that as we're learning as society, for some people, marriage is not the right thing.
Not to cut you off.
Not the right thing.
Not to cut you off, but what you just described, has that ever felt further away for Americans than right now?
You know, that's a good point.
Like what you just described, like when I think of what like a 25, a 30-year-old is doing right now, none of what you just said describes what I envision in my head.
Well, one of the other things, and you know, I'm older than you, and I've seen people go through this, and maybe now you're in your mid-30s, so maybe you've seen it too. I've seen a lot of people who did that because their parents did that. We were not brought up in a metropolitan area. We were brought up in a rural area where people tend to marry younger. Right. And I've known multiple people who went to high school, went to college, you know, got married immediately out of college, and then later on came to resent it because they never got to do a lot of the things that they really wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean,
so, I think,
but isn't that the American dream? Like in the year 2021, I would argue that's almost the American dream now, is the flexibility to do whatever it is you want to do. It's all I think it's almost shifted.
I think so. And I think that people have accepted the fact that you don't have, that life isn't, you know, marriage, kids, house, you know, job that you stay at for 40 years. That used to be the dream. Right. And now you don't have to have that dream. And I think people have finally come to accept it. Yeah.
The American dream, like when they put that in the article, like when they put that in the title, I did kind of chuckle to myself because I had this moment reading it where I was kind of like, I don't even know if this is the American dream anymore. Like I know it's the backbone and I know it's kind of what everything was built off of. But reading it, I was like, boy, like I think if you polled most people between the age of like 23 and 33, they would tell you that's not even close to their American dream.
Well, I think too, as we talk about this, and yes, you're right. For some people, it still is. But when there was a time where that was the dream that was impressed on everyone. I've talked to women who are like, you know, it was kind of embedded in you that you were supposed to have kids. Like that was your number one goal in life, was to grow up, get married, and have children. And that there are women who are like, I don't even know if I really wanted them. You know, I've talked to people who are like, I know that my mom would have never had kids if she would have grown up in a different era because she didn't really want kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the American dream, we've evolved into the point that what my dream isn't your dream, and it's not jammed down our throat. I think it is an interesting article, and I haven't even read it.
No, I sent it to you, so you'll be able to read it this afternoon. The other part of it that surprises me is, and then we'll end this. I felt like they're almost trying to convince people, because you've seen in the market, bigger companies, organizations, they're coming in, they're buying up everything. And there is this idea of like, I don't want to say the American citizen giving in by becoming renters, right? Like if the majority of us all became renters, we're basically giving up a huge part of equity in this country. And we're letting corporations, we're letting organizations take that chunk of equity. So I do like, there is a part of me on the other side of it that's kind of like, I think that's dangerous. Like, I don't think that's a great thing for, you know, here I am talking about like, I don't understand home ownership for someone like me, but at the same time, like, I don't think a nation of renters is, it almost feels like the most un-American thing to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they took it from like an individual person and then kind of blanketed it over like it should be good for everybody.
Yes.
You know, there's lots of people who enjoy having, not just enjoyment, but there's a satisfaction of having the memories of this is the house that I raised my kids. This is the house that we were married in or whatever. And yeah, so I agree wholeheartedly with what you just said. If everybody became a renter, it would be problematic for the normal person versus the corporate America.
Yes, a nation of renters again, it sounds un-American. It just sounds so sheepish. Like it sounds as if like we're just going to let people profit off of it, and then the other 95% of us will just rent, and it's fine that we just gave up this huge chunk of equity. I don't know. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
I agree.
Let's do a quick wheel spin. Thank you to Weis Markets. Thank you for being our title sponsor. Be sure to go there for all your grocery needs. And thank you to NorthcentralPa.com. Be sure to go there for all your local news. We also have on the wheel over Mark's shoulder. We have Eat and Run Catering. We also have Moon and Raven. And we also have the Break Room. Be sure to go there and blow off steam at some point this summer. How can somebody enter to win, Mark?
Join the Midday Show group. Go to Facebook. In the search bar, type in Midday Show. It'll come up. We're the only one because, you know, like who could imitate this? Don't type in mid-morning show.
No.
Even though, and I should mention this, we went on early today because Jeff is at the beach. It's his first day. We're not sure at noon if Jeff would have too many adult beverages in him to coherently operate.
I'm afraid the opposite. I'm afraid it might be too bright and my eyes might literally be shut if we did the show at noon.
Whatever. So anyway, go to Facebook, join the Midday Show group. Your name will be thrown into the hopper. And then as it comes out on the backside, we will spit one out. And today we are spitting out Ben Simmons, the winner of the Midday Show group. Ben Simmons, congratulations. Oh, no, it's not him.
No, it's not him. Today's random winner is Gary Owen. Gary Owen, congratulations. Wait,
so can we take this one step further? Are you saying Ben Simmons is a loser today? Is that what you're saying?
I am saying Ben Simmons is having a rough day today, but we're going to take a different approach to it. We're going to talk about it in a different manner.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Even if you're not a sports fan, we're going to take it like a completely different angle. So you'll enjoy it.
And if you don't know what today is, you should stick around because today is a historic day on many, many levels. But right now we're spinning the Midday Show wheel. And Gary Owen, congratulations to Gary. So here we go. I should tuck this back in because it's sliding out. Here's the $100 one right here. We'll leave it right here. Here we go.
Here we go, Gary.
We're looking for good luck for Gary. I've been hot. It's Monday. We might as well get back to winning. It's so cool that I don't even have to stand up.
Close.
I'm sorry.
The wheel looks good though.
It does. You know, and we have a couple new ones to put in. I think we might upgrade here a little bit. We might get to a different rotation or just plug a couple more in to get some more winners. But anyway, be that as it may, Gary Owens, you get a T-shirt coming your way. Congratulations to Gary. And yeah, okay, back to Ben.
Okay, I'm going to set the premise up here, especially for people who may not watch sports, because this is, even if you don't like basketball, even if you're not necessarily like a sports fanatic, you will appreciate this segment.
Yes.
Here's the easiest way for me to paint this picture. Ben Simmons is an Australian-born basketball player. He was like the number one player in his class coming through. Ben Simmons,
but he's coming through in America. Like he went to LSU.
Correct. Ben Simmons is a 3-time All-Star. He is considered one of the best 20 people at what he does in the world. Like most people would tell you, Ben Simmons is a top 20 basketball player in the world. Ben Simmons cannot shoot. He refuses to shoot. I don't know if he can't do it actually. He's not a great free throw shooter, which tells me he probably can't actually shoot even if he would take shots.
And let me jump in. He's a disastrous free throw shooter. He is awful. Like as bad as anyone in the NBA.
Yes. However, he is athletically, he is a freak. He's like a 6'10" sprinter. He is a gazelle when he is going up and down the court. He has incredible vision. He is an incredible ball handler. He does a lot of things at an A level. He is an F shooter. Okay, so to set the premise for this segment, it got me thinking, like, in what other profession could you be, like, if you made a list of things that a basketball player, especially a guard, has to do, it's probably like 1A dribbling, 1B shooting. At a certain point, shooting was like 2 or 3, but now like it's almost like 1B. And some people would argue that shooting is 1A and dribbling is now 1B, but I still think it's the other way around. But shooting is very, very important. And yet someone who does not do it has figured out a way to be a 3-time All-Star. A part of me thinks about that, and I think that's actually ridiculously impressive. Like, it's almost insane that someone could not shoot and be considered one of the best 20 basketball players in the world.
Here, I got an analogy for you. But yes, because he's 6'10", because he's a freaky athlete, he can dribble really well. He can outrun people. He rebounds well because he's 6'10" and he's a great athlete. He passes. Like last night, I think he had 4 points, but 13 assists. So you're right. He does everything else at an A level.
Yes.
He's A plus.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So here are my analogies for Ben Simmons, and you're going to tell me whether you would hire this person or not. Okay. Whether like this person could still do the job or if you would have to get rid of them, because I think it's a fair analogy to Ben Simmons not being able to shoot. Okay.
Go ahead. I'm ready.
Would you hire a bus driver? He is a phenomenal driver. He's an incredible people person, but he cannot read directions. Like, he can't read a map. He has no idea where he's going.
So he just goes on instinct?
He's just driving the bus around. But he cannot read a map. He has no idea how to like see street signs and like read a map and everything. But people love him. He's a phenomenal driver.
He's a safe driver.
He knows he's a mechanic. He knows how to fix the bus. The bus is immaculately clean. Would you keep the bus driver?
That is a really interesting.
Oh, I got better ones.
Because he would have to go by landmarks. I mean,
because this is what Ben Simmons.
If it's a local, if this is the city bus, yes.
Okay.
If this is a Trailways and you're going to New York City, I need a guy that can read a map a little bit.
Okay, because that's what Ben Simmons looks like when he plays basketball. Like, you watch him and you're like, oh my God, look at this guy. Like, he's so fast and he's so big and he sees the floor and he has all this vision. But then it's like he almost forgot where he's going. Like, he's forgotten that the ball has to go in the basket.
So that's my answer. Long term, or for local, yes, he can learn his way around the city. He can be fine. If we're leaving town, I would rather have a bus driver who is a total prick, but who can get me where I'm going.
Okay.
That's his number one job.
Okay.
Get me where I'm going.
Okay. You have a computer company. There's a computer programmer. He can design any app you need. He knows every coding language. He can do it, but he refuses to type.
Can he talk?
So now everyone around him has to figure out how to type for him. Would you hire that computer programmer? Because what happens is when you play Ben Simmons, everyone else now has to score. Ben Simmons is amazing. Like, he'll find them and there's vision and he'll rebound.
That's an interesting.
But he can't. But so a computer programmer who can't type, would you hire him?
Sounds like Steve Jobs, doesn't it?
A little bit.
A programmer who can't program?
People didn't love Steve Jobs.
And he was.
People didn't enjoy working for Steve Jobs.
Wozniak looks at him, is like, "You've never written a word of code."
No. Here's the last one. You'll like this one because you thought
that one's a tough one, because you're right. It's like, do you have to assign someone then who just basically takes dictation for him?
Yes. So now if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, you've got to go get these shooters and they have to score like whenever Ben Simmons finds them. Like, they have to do it.
You can only put 5 people on the court. That is interesting.
No?
All right, give me the last one.
Okay, last one, because you like Vanna White so much, because you said she has the easiest job on the planet.
Greatest job ever.
Okay.
Well, Hugh Hefner had the greatest job ever, but
all right,
Vanna White.
You'll appreciate this one. Vanna White, she's fantastic. She's turning all the letters. She's on time. She knows what she's doing. She's experienced. She has it all, okay? But she refuses to turn the vowels on the board.
I thought you were gonna get to something like she won't shower or something.
No.
I was like, why are we? No.
She refuses every time somebody says, "Give me an E."
I want to buy a vowel. She gives them the middle finger.
And here's why I use that analogy, because I think Ben Simmons can score. It's not an issue of like he probably can't shoot or he won't score everything. He just refuses. And so that would be the frustrating thing. Like, would you keep Vanna White if she just looked at Pat and was like, nope, A's, E's, I's, O's, like, I'm out. I'm not doing it.
I think the only one is the genius programmer I would consider. For everyone else, you can find somebody else that can do it. And Ben Simmons, he has become a liability. He is during the course of the season, he's good. And he helps you get here. In Game 7, he helps you lose.
Yeah, no, he's Vanna White if she refused to turn the vowels on the board.
Yeah, I would find a different
Vanna White,
attractive sideline reporter type Vanna White to turn the vowels. You need to turn vowels.
10 seconds. Here's my sports ones. Would you draft a QB who can't run?
Tom Brady.
But would you draft a QB that can't run? In 2021, would you draft a QB who can't run? Because that's, if you draft Ben Simmons, you are drafting a guard who can't shoot.
I might.
Okay, well, you're wrong. And then would you draft a third baseman who can't throw?
No, you got to be able to throw.
Okay, that's Ben Simmons is a guard who can't shoot. You would never draft Ben Simmons. I think he's really, it's almost, again, I'm almost more impressed. Like, more people are upset with him. I'm almost more impressed because to become a 3-time All-Star and to become what most people consider a top 25 player and you can't shoot, it's almost impressive what he's done. I've almost flipped it today.
Here, so didn't he date Kylie Jenner for a while?
I think he's dating Kendall Jenner. I could be wrong.
Kendall, whichever one,
right
one
now.
of the Jenners.
Yeah.
Here's my question for you, and this is honest to God, and you know like 100 times more basketball than I do. But I think if you gave me Ben Simmons for a half hour a day for 2 weeks, he would be a 70% free throw shooter if he listened.
I think there's two ways of looking at it. I think one, it's so mental right now. Like, I don't even think it's about the physical aspect of the ball. I think it's like seeing the ball go through the basket and just like mentally duplicating that process. Like, his mental health has to be horrific right now. It has to be.
You could fix him.
Physically, I think there's a lot of coaches out there that physically could fix different parts, but I don't think it's a physical problem. I think it's a mental one, because it's the great thing about shooters, and you and I have talked about it before, and this is like in any aspect in life when you're really good at something. I always joke, shooters have to be the cockiest people and the most forgiving people at the same time, because you have to be so cocky that after you miss 10 in a row, you think the 11th one is going in. But you have to be so forgiving that when you miss the 11th one, you forgive yourself so you'll take the 12th. And those two things butt heads. Like, it's very hard to find people that are extremely cocky, but also forgiving of themselves at the same time. And that's what great shooters are. They balance those two things. I think for Ben Simmons, that would be the first thing. Like, mentally, like, when you don't see the ball go in the basket, it is okay. And we are going to do this until you feel good about it and have it. It's all mental. I don't think it's a physical issue.
Well, it certainly mentally doesn't help, but I could fix them. And we would start with mental. We wouldn't have a hoop the first day.
No.
Like, there are aspects. There's lots of kids who can't hit a baseball who have terrible mechanics of hitting a baseball, that their first day with a hitting coach, they shouldn't have a bat and they shouldn't see a ball.
No.
That it should just be about balance and everything else.
Yeah.
Because we get so enamored with the end result that we forget that the beginning result is where it's all at.
Because the biggest thing with him right now is, and you kind of hinted at this, is like there is an unwillingness to even try. And that's the bigger issue. This isn't about like balance. This isn't about like your arm, your elbow being in, all that stuff. Like, when I gave you these examples, I didn't say that these people necessarily couldn't do it. I said they refused. Like, it's not that Vanna White can't turn the vowel. She refuses to turn the vowel. Like, it's not that the computer programmer can't type. He refuses to type. And that's Ben Simmons' biggest issue right now. He is unwilling. He would rather go 0 for 0 than go 0 for 10, but at least say, like, I tried. Like, I took the shots I was supposed to take, and I'm working on developing it. He's not even developing it right now.
There also has to be a level, like, and you as a high school basketball coach, if you get a 9th grader in who is a good athlete, who's a good basketball, who can dribble and whatever, who's a terrible shooter, you can just look at him and say, listen, the only thing stopping you from being a 70% foul shooter is you. If you want to do it and you put in a little time of working and learning of what I'm supposed to do correctly, and then you do it correctly over and over and over, you'll be a 70% shooter. So if you can do it with a 9th grader who has a third of the talent that Ben Simmons does, then Ben Simmons could do it too if he wanted to.
Here's real quick before we end this. The biggest catch with Ben Simmons, and I don't think a lot of people know this, there's a story about him possibly being ambidextrous. And the question comes up is, he's shooting with his left hand. Should he be shooting with his right? Like, is there an internal function physically and mentally that he actually is shooting with the wrong hand? And then the other issue, and I tell this to people, the most amazing thing about Kevin Durant and these other guys that are 6'10" and are like Larry Bird that were phenomenal shooters, the ball is so small in their hand. And anybody who's able to shoot the ball that way when they're like 7 foot tall, it's not like, it's a minor miracle, because the smaller your hands are, the easier it is to shoot. It is not, the larger your hands are, the harder it is.
Yeah, it's like shooting a baseball. It's correct. It's really, really hard. Yeah, I agree.
So those are the two physical aspects of Ben Simmons that I think people maybe don't know or forget or don't take into consideration. When you're ambidextrous as a child, which hand do you end up shooting with? And how do you ever know if it's the actual hand that you should have shot with? And then the other thing, like, just when you have bigger hands, it's hard. Like, it's not easy.
See, and I would make the argument, I'm not ambidextrous. What did Ben Simmons shoot for the playoffs? 30%?
It was awful. I don't know the exact number, but it was. Let me rephrase that. From the free throw line, it was awful. He didn't shoot, which is the bigger issue here. Like, everyone's going to say he can't shoot, and I would say it's not that he can't. He is refusing to. When
they put him at the foul line, he proves over and over that he can't. I would make the argument that you and I, again, with a week's worth of practice, we could shoot. We're not ambidextrous, but we could shoot 30% left-handed. I would bet I could shoot 40% left-handed with a week's worth of practice.
I would agree, but we're also, we're mentally healthy, and also
are
too,
we?
like,
are we?
And also too, like, we're not 6'9", we're not 6'10". Like, I'm telling you, like, 6'9" people are not technically built to shoot. Like, people are like, why do these guys get tens of millions of dollars? Because they're doing something that physically is almost impossible for them to do, and they're doing it at a mark that's better than anybody else. So
no, and because they're 6'9" and they can run faster than everybody else on the planet, like that's what's insane. Yeah, but yes, it is a very fascinating computer programmer. I might bus driver needs to know where he's going, and Vanna needs to spin the valves.
Yeah, and Ben Simmons doesn't do any of those things right now. He refuses to do any of those things. June 21st is a day. Let me tell you, because I first found out. I sent you a text message and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Amazon Prime Day today. And then I started digging into like other things that are happening on June 21st, and it is special. Like, I think it's more special than other days. But we'll start here with Prime Day. Do you do Amazon Prime Day? Like, do you get on and try to find the bargains?
I joined Amazon Prime. I've probably paid for it. I don't use it. I probably should cancel it. I can't cancel today because how rude would that be? But I joined it to watch a movie, and I don't remember what movie it was. Was it Ma Rainey? Was Ma Rainey on Amazon Prime?
Maybe.
I joined it to watch a movie, and then they're just like, oh, you should keep it. And I've looked at it. I've probably watched a couple movies on Amazon Prime that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. But, yeah, so I have joined Amazon Prime, and I barely use it. It's like Snapchat.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's Prime Day. It's also National Selfie Day. I did not know this either. I'm kind of anti-selfie. I don't take a lot of selfies. I'm kind of anti-photo, to be honest. I don't Like, I'm not like in the moment, I just never think to take one. Like, I don't. It's not like at the top of my priority list, let alone flip it around and take one of myself. It just doesn't cross my mind.
There has to be somewhere in this, you see, you're at the opposite end of the spectrum. There are people who every time they get in the car, they take a selfie and post it. And that, when we were just talking about the mental health of Ben Simmons, the people who have to post selfies like every other day, that has to be a problem.
I just, different generation. I don't know. It's just, for me, like, I don't know if it's a mental health thing. I have to think about that. You bring up a good point. I've never thought about it being unhealthy. For me, it's just not what crosses my mind. I forget that I have a camera in my pocket at all times because I just don't think of my phone that way.
No, and I get I get when people take pictures of events or with people or with buddy. Like, if you go in to a place and you see a guy that you played college basketball with and you just happen to run into him at the beach and you're like, hey, I'm going to take a picture of it and I'm going to post, like, I get that. But the people, especially the women who just like every other day take a picture that's just basically screaming, please tell me how pretty I am. Like that.
Nothing. I'll tell you right now, nothing is worse than single dudes. Single dudes take way more selfies.
Really?
Oh, single guys take so many selfies. It's out of this world.
Not in your generation.
You would be shocked. You would be shocked.
Maybe in your generation, not in mine. But anyway,
it's also Go Skateboarding Day. I personally have never actually skateboarded. I've seen one before and I stand on it, but I've never actually gone down the street or down the sidewalk and skateboarded.
I'm not a skateboarder either, and one of the reasons is the same reason I don't ride a motorcycle is because it is an injury waiting to happen for me. I can see this coming, and I could see why skateboarding would be fun. I could see why a broken arm wouldn't be fun, and that's what I would end up with. I could see why a motorcycle would be great. I can see me dumping the motorcycle and getting hurt really badly, so that's why I don't do it. I wonder with this one, is today the longest day of the year? Or is it tomorrow?
Good question. I'm not sure.
It's right around this time, June, whatever. So I wonder if for skateboarding, because it's a daylight activity, I wonder if they picked that day because of this.
That's very possible. It is Atheist Solidarity Day.
I have no idea why that's today.
That's today. I don't know if there's a reason for the day. There is a quote unquote, I don't want to call it a movement, but there is this idea of most atheists, they're not closet atheists, but most atheists don't necessarily go around wearing it on their shirt. So Atheist Solidarity Day is the idea of saying I'm an atheist and that's okay. And I'm allowed to say it out loud and I'm allowed to, let people know that I am. So I don't know. Atheist Solidarity Day. I do not know the connection with June 21st, but there it is.
And it is interesting that it's not Atheist Day. It's Atheist Solidarity.
Yeah. Because
because
reading about it, that's the idea of it is people there. I think the concept is that there's more atheists around than what you would ever know. And so it's about solidarity and coming out and saying I'm an atheist, you're an atheist, and that's all right. So it's, Atheist Solidarity Day.
Except I'm not an atheist, but okay. I get your point.
No, I got you. This one, I did not know we needed this day. You'll have to explain this one to me because Baby Boomers Recognition Day is June 21st. Why? What is Baby Boomers Recognition Day?
You're looking for an explanation from a place that you're not going to get one. I have no idea.
Is it the idea?
Good for them.
Is it the idea that there's more of them? So as an individual, you need to be recognized?
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't even have a theory.
That one makes no sense. And then this might be my least favorite one out of all of them. Take Your Cat to Work Day is June 21st as well.
Well, let's go into why. Let me speculate as to why this is. You don't have a cat. You're not a cat person.
I don't get them. I don't understand cats.
I am not a cat person either. I had a cat once, but it just there are. I don't. What would a cat do at work? It would hide. They don't. They're not friendly. They don't. at least they're mostly not friendly. I don't know. I don't like a dog. 95% of the dogs will come up to you and they want petted and they're friendly and they snoop all around the places. And you would bring half the cats to work, would hide under the first desk they found and not come out.
Yes. Now, whoever thought of this is like a minimal genius. So Take Your Cat to Work Day is also the same day as National Dog Party Day, which is great. Whoever decided to put those two on the same day is working on another level and they need a promotion. Because
one came first and they hated the other pet. And they were like, well, we're going to make ours better. And
I think Take Your Cat to Work Day came first. And because, now that the cats are out, it's the dog has the house and they're the king of the domain.
The picture of the dog with the balloons, the dog just looks thrilled. And he's like, what am I doing here? That is, yes. So Dog Party Day. You have been a dog owner for a while. Have you ever had a dog party?
So like for his birthday, we'll get him like a double cheeseburger or something, but like there's no party. Like we don't do hats or balloons or.
Does he invite his dog friends over?
No, I mean, we do like dog play dates, like where we know like these dogs are coming over and they can romp around and burn off some steam, but never like a party. Like we've never done it where the dogs it's planned and they're going to sit around and we're going to sing happy birthday, like nothing like that.
Have you ever had a dog sleepover?
Well, yeah, but that's more out of necessity. It's not for the dog. It's for the owners.
Like for a party, like, hey, you can bring all your dogs over. We'll celebrate, and then you can leave them and come get them in the morning, and we'll just have a sleepover.
Are you implying someone's going to show up 5 hours late?
I never thought of that, but no, that would be. Could you imagine the dogs like all night and then trying to? And then in the morning, would they still be happy that their buddy was there? Or would they be like, why are you in my house? Go home. That would be because a lot of times at kids' sleepovers, that's how it is. In the morning, they're like, why are you still here? Go home.
Yeah, I agree with you. So yeah, June 21st is a day. That's a lot. And there's more. Like I cut down the list. Can I read, like, for example, it's International T-shirt Day. It's International Day of Yoga. It is the National Day of the Gong. It is National Peaches and Cream Day. It is Ride to Work Day. It is World Giraffe Day, World Handshake Day, and it is also World Music Day, all on June 21st.
Ride to work, like ride your bike to work?
Yes, I think it's like a motorcycle day. I think it's like motorcycle people are supposed to ride to work today. And that might be, like you had hinted earlier about it being the longest day. That might be why.
And the longest day might be tomorrow. It's one of those two. Yeah. But Giraffe Day, National Giraffe Day. That would be
well, not national. Like America doesn't have a draft day, but
well,
it's the World Draft Day.
That's true. That's a very good point. Very good.
Yes. We're supposed to go see the drafts. Apparently, somewhere in Harrisburg, there's a place where you feed them. Have you seen this at all?
Wait, you just told me America doesn't have giraffes, and now you tell me you're going to feed them in Harrisburg.
Well, listen, I know that in Montoursville, there's like an albino white deer. And now everybody thinks it's like the Great Serengeti, like it's the safari of the East because you have an albino deer in Montoursville.
No, they cut down all the woods by the airport. Now that thing probably had to relocate. We don't know.
Probably. But if you go in your backyard, you're not going to see a giraffe. So, there's no National Giraffe Day. However, in Harrisburg, there's a place where you can go, you sign up, you feed them the, what is it? I don't even know what you call it. Koalas get eucalyptus. What
eucalyptus is what was coming to my head.
Okay, maybe giraffes get it too. I can't remember. But yeah, you feed them and they're there. So that's in Harrisburg somewhere. I think we're gonna take my nieces down.
There you go.
Okay. Anything else?
So I'll tell you this: wildlife safaris. They used to have one at Six Flags in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. They have one up at Penn's Cave. They have some wildlife stuff. That stuff is always cool.
Okay. Yeah. I love zoos. I think we're going to the Cape May Zoo Wednesday, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, the ones where you can drive around. I remember being on one as a kid. There's one at Disney. I was one as a kid, like where you are on either a real car or a tram car. I remember once the monkeys were sitting on the roof. You get to points where you're stopped because like the llamas are standing in the road and you can't move, and
right.
And they're peeking their head in the window, and like those are awesome.
Yeah. We did before the pandemic. This would have been a couple years before. We did the Disney one because they redid. I'm forgetting the name of it now, but they have that park that's just all wildlife now.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Wild Kingdom. I think it's called Wild Kingdom. So we did the safari trip like in Wild Kingdom, and it is. I mean, it's neat. It is neat.
They're all really cool. The thing about the zoo, it's funny when you go up to the thing and you can't find it and you're waiting and they're like, it must be inside, it must be outside. Right. But no, the safaris are, and they're so numb to the people going around that they're just like, whatever, and they keep eating. So yeah, those are cool. Those are very cool.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you again to Weis Markets. Be sure to go there for all your grocery needs. And be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com. Check out all your local news. And Mark and I will be back tomorrow.
We don't know what time tomorrow. It depends what point of Jeff's beach bender is going to begin.
We'll be back. I wouldn't call it a bender, but we'll be. I think we're going to do most of it midday. Today was. It's my fault. I was nervous. I was like, if it doesn't work, like I need time in case we need to, in case I need to fix something or find a better connection. So hopefully, if today went smooth, we'll be back at midday, and I won't be panicked and saying like we need to get this done sooner. So I appreciate it.
For those of us who are, stuck in the office like I am and, back here in Pennsylvania or wherever you're at around the globe and not sitting at a beach house, what is your day? What do we got on the afternoon? Because I know you hate the boardwalk. You suck at mini golf. What do we got?
Nothing. I mean, I'm a beach dweller. Like, I like being on the beach. Like, I do not understand people who come to the beach and they spend like 2 hours there. Like, I don't get it. So yeah, I'm a beach dweller. Like yesterday, I was on the beach from 7:30, and if it wasn't for a dinner reservation, we didn't leave until about 3:30, and I would have stayed till about 7. Like, I would have been out there for 12 plus hours if it wasn't for a dinner reservation.
What do you do there?
Well, I set up horseshoes yesterday. We tossed them a little bit. And then just as far as I was in the water a lot, it was hot yesterday. So I was just kind of riding the waves a little bit, enjoying myself. Honestly, in another life, I swear I was tan because I love the beach. The only thing I don't have going for me is I'm as pale as they come. But outside of that, I love it.
I mean, that just sounds painful.
What do you do at the beach though? Like, what do you mean? What do you do at the beach?
I don't think I could sit anywhere for 12 straight hours.
But you're not sitting. Like, I was throwing horseshoes, and we played this new game called Title Ball. You dig an arch in the sand. It's basically like cornhole, but it's with round balls, and you dig out the sand to make the course, to make the board.
Okay.
And it was really fun. We played that. So I don't know, you say sitting still, but to me, the beach is the most ideal place to not sit still. There's so much.
Yes, it depends who you're with. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and I mean, we're here with 50 plus people. If anybody's ever had a Berrigan sub, if there's older listeners or older viewers, if you ever had a Berrigan sub, I believe there was Berrigan subs in Lycoming County. There was Berrigan subs by Bloomsburg University. There was also a Berrigan subs up in Mansfield. And then if you had ever been to the Bloomsburg Fair, Berrigan subs, I believe, had one of the biggest tents at the Bloomsburg Fair. So it is the Berrigan family. They're down here at the beach. There's 50 plus. We did the whole photo shoot last night, so a shout out to them. Nicely done. And it is a trip. I mean, when you have 8 people at the beach, it's hard to sit still. You get 50. I mean, there's always something.
Since you're not the Berrigan family, you are on the outskirts, and you are. So are you and there's multiple houses that you people rented, so you could all fit there. Are you the equivalent of the guy at the wedding reception who's at the last junk table that they all threw together?
So you'll appreciate this since we're talking about it. They had shirts made up, which shout out to my girlfriend and her aunt. They crushed it. They spent a lot of time. But on the shirts, they have different shades depending on which branch of the family you're in. And then they have numbers on the side, and the number represents the generation where you fall. So, for example, if you're one of the younger ones in your generation, you're 17, 18, 19. If you're the oldest in your generation, you had a 1, okay? So they went all out on these T-shirts. There is a handful of us. There's 4 or 5 of us who were the no number people. So the no number people are basically the significant others who have been around long enough to make it to the beach, but have not been around long enough to have the number on the sleeve. So the No Number crew, I joked that our photo shoot was at Atlantic City at 8:00. And we would be back after our photo shoot ended. So it may be even longer until I get a number on my sleeve at the rate I'm going.
If she should have gone with 0, you should have been a 0, and that would have been better.
No, so they went all out. I mean, it was at taking photos on the beach last night to get 54 people. You want to talk about like herding cats? Like to get 54 people from like 3 months old all the way up through, like it was chaos trying to get one photo last night, but it worked. It turned out great. You'll appreciate this story real quick too. A stranger like walking by, like we grabbed him and asked him to take the photo. You want to talk about like, you think about like when you're walking down the beach and it is like the golden hour, like it's like 8:00, it's beautiful out. The last thing that you want to have happen is a family of 50 plus ask you to take a photo on your night walk at the beach. And this gentleman nailed it. He grabbed the camera. He was cracking jokes. He was everything else. When he got done, someone came out, took the camera from him. He got in the photo. So he's in one of the family photos, like in the middle in his blue jacket. He nailed, and you want to talk like small things in life, like people who just get it, like because how many people would have been like, yeah, sure, snapped one photo, tossed it back, whatever. I mean, this guy, kudos to him. Like more people need to be like this guy.
When you said it, like, what's the last thing you want to do? I was like, there's people who would totally be in their element. And it reminded me, when I was doing the family Christmas card years back, because I was always like that, the Christmas card is my baby. And I'm sitting at the kiosk with the picture, checking all the backgrounds. And while I'm there by myself, and I'm a guy, so I'm not like, I think women are more artistic and get, color, what matches and stuff like that. So I always ask somebody around me, does this look as good as I think it does?
Right.
And the one time I asked this lady, who I had no idea who she was. She's sitting at the kiosk desk, and I'm like, excuse me, can you, what do you think? This is the one I like best. What do you think? And she went into like this 90-second diatribe of why it worked. She's like, oh, because this and this and this pulls out this and blah, blah, blah. And at the end, I just looked at her and she goes, oh, I was an art major. And I'm like, oh, well, there you go. So, yeah, depending on who it is, you can get lucky. And apparently, yes, it is. If you're walking down the beach and a family of 56 asked you to take a picture and you can't have fun with that for 5 minutes, then you're missing out.
Yeah, no, we got lucky last night. So it's been an experience. It is neat. Like there's very few. I feel very fortunate because I have a larger family. She has a larger family. And the idea of getting 50 people somewhere at the same time, I mean, maybe it's going to happen more and more now. Like, I always feel dramatic saying like the pandemic was a traumatic experience because like for some people it wasn't. But I do think what the pandemic has done is it's kind of put a lot of things in perspective and like people aren't going to wait to do things anymore. And I think this trip is an example of that. Like, I think if you would have tried to do this 2 years ago, I don't know, people would have said like, I'm busy or, oh, I don't like whatever. And like they sent it out and it was everyone jumped on it because, so you want to talk about like the positive effects of the pandemic or the positive effects of like going through something like that. I mean, this is an example of one of them.
Well, I agree with you. I saw a TV show. I think it might have been A Little House on the Prairie once where a lady faked her death because she wanted to get her family together before she died. And I remember, and I've never forgot that. I loved Little House on the Prairie. As masculine as that sounds, I think it was a great show. And I remember for my grandmother's 80th birthday, she has 3 kids that were and her grandkids were scattered, but one of her sons lives in Missouri, and a lot of his family, his offspring live there. And I said to all these people are going to get together at her funeral, but she won't be able to enjoy it. So let's get the family together again. And we had to do it. And her birthday was in February, and it worked out because this was back when Mike was still playing and he was still home in February. I hadn't left for spring training yet. And we did it. And I got in touch with my uncle in Missouri, and we kind of coordinated, and we have big family pictures from back then. And I agree with you. I think you said it perfectly when you said the pandemic is going to people are not going to wait around anymore because they know that, like, who knows what tomorrow has.
Yeah. And I think people are just going to, and remote work is going to increase, and that's going to give people flexibility to travel and pull some of this stuff off like that. But I just, I think this idea of like, we'll do the vacation next year, we'll celebrate her birthday next year. Like, I think I think people just have a different perspective now. I really, really do.
I think you brought up, you're on a roll today. The remote work thing too, because you can tell people, like we have multiple people out right now. Yeah. People with kids on college visits, and you're at the beach and whatever. And when everyone leaves last week, you're like, yeah, I'll have my stuff. I'll still get stuff done, and I'll check in. And nobody bats an eye. It used to be like they're either here or they're not. And now it's like, I was like, are you going to have any trouble doing the show? And you're like, I don't think so, unless we have a Wi-Fi issue or something. I can't, it'll be fine. So yeah, people know that, like, hey, wherever you're at, we can get stuff done because the world's changed.
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, thank you to Weis Markets. Be sure to go there for all your grocery needs. How many times have you been there today? Twice?
I've not been there yet today. I was there yesterday. I've not been
slacking.
there yet today. But it's early. We did a mid-morning show.
That's true.
It's like I got up here to crack. Jeff said, "What time you want to go in?" What did I say to you? 6:30 or 7?
I think he said 6:30 or 7.
And you're like, in the morning?
I said AM.
No, I thought it was funny. It was
good.
This is the thing about my jokes. As long as I think they're funny, then beyond that, it's just gravy. If you think they're dumb, then it wasn't. It was just to amuse me.
That's all that matters. I will tell you, we should do an episode where I just grab people walking by, because like people are on their bikes and people are walking their dogs and stuff like that. So we should do one where I just invite people up onto the porch, because the looks I get, like when they're walking by and they hear me talking about the American dream and Vanna White and all the different topics, and they're just looking at me like, what is he doing? We could have some real good conversations.
You should, when they look up, you should just give them the finger as they're walking by, and see what happens.
Oh my goodness! So thank you to NorthcentralPa.com. Be sure to go there for all your local news. And real quick, thank you to Moon and Raven. Thank you to the Break Room. Thank you to Eat and Run Catering. And big things are coming. Maybe we'll update the wheel. We got more show stuff coming this week. So, and I think we're going to bounce back to the midday time slot, but we'll see. So, but you can always find us on our Facebook page, North Central PA. Just go to videos, and you can always find it, even if you missed that day's live stream.
On behalf of the No Numbers, Jeff would like to say
the No Number crew. I mean, real quick before we go, the No Number crew, because there's two parts of this, and I forget who I was saying this to last night. At some point, the family, whether it was the aunts or the cousin or the parents or whoever it was, there was a discussion that the no number people were not a part of. I don't know if it was a group chat. I don't know if it was in a living room, but at some point there was a strong discussion about, like, well, do we give them different numbers? Do we give them this? What do we do? And the solution was just no number at all. And I would have loved to have heard that chat.
Now that I'm thinking of it, my first thought would have been 0. Now I'm thinking, how about -1? If you would have been a negative number, that would have been awesome.
Well, 0's funny because it's the shape of a ring. And so the irony, yes. So the irony there of all the no numbers having to have a 0, like a ring shape on there, that would have been funny.
That would have been, yes.
That would have been nice. Good. But at some point there was a meeting. And I don't know if it was 2 people. I don't know if it was 20. I don't know if it was over the phone, if it was in an email. I don't know. But somehow, some way, the decision was made that there would be no numbers for the significant others who had not tied the knot yet. So
here's the difference. Not that I was involved in this conversation, but just to show the difference between how men and women are wired. If this is a discussion about men or with men, and guys are coming up with the T-shirts, and you're like, what do we do with this? We would have said either whatever, or we would have been looking for a joke. With the women, they put serious thought into the right answer. Like, there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer.
I didn't call. By the way, I said a meeting. I didn't say a conversation. I didn't say a discussion.
That's true.
There was a meeting at some point to decide some of this.
Guys would have been like, let's just cut the sleeve off. Let's wipe it. Like, we'll put a pizza stain on it. Let's do whatever. Whereas the women would have been like, well, this is, yes,
Yeah.
very different.
But it was neat, like down at the beach, because some of the generations are 20 plus deep. So it was neat at the beach, like to see, you know, they're getting the photos and they're all in line and they have it was cool. I mean, there's
all right, this is stupid, and I know no one's listening anymore, but I'll tell a story anyway. As you're talking about t-shirts, I was at Camden Yards? I was somewhere. My guess is it was Camden Yards, but there was a family like this. Now, there weren't 50-some people, but I'm going to say there were 20. And they, as a family, what they did every year was they would go to a different Major League Baseball ballpark and watch a game. And it was like, you know, the Everett family. And on the back of it, it listed every game they'd been to, like in 2001, at, you know, St. Louis at Pittsburgh on June 2002. And with each year, so they made new T-shirts each year, and it had the new stadium, and it was really cool. And at first, you're like, oh, it's gonna whatever. But just that they organized it, that they had all these people that were coming. You knew there were kids that were born into it halfway in. But I've always been a fan. I know that Riverlots that do that.
Yeah.
They have Riverlot memberships, and if you're a member, you get a T-shirt, and on theirs it says like since like 12 or 17 or whenever you join.
Oh yeah.
All those things are cool. So it is kudos to the T-shirt crew and the no number discussion.
And the crazy part too is my girlfriend's sister is I want to say she's an event coordinator. It's a planner or a coordinator, because I don't want to like bump down her title. But she is like legit. So she came up. We have like this unbelievable PDF packet that has like a map, an itinerary. It has like the different events and like flyers and posters. It's like literally something that a real vacation company would make. And she printed them all out, and she had them for all 50 people. I mean, they went all out. So kudos to them. And like I said, I think more people are going to do that now. I think they're, you know, I just think the idea of like always doing it for your company and just always like, I think that's out the window. I think people are going to be like, life's short and let's do this.
I agree with you. So next year I'm ready. I'm invited. Just have her send me the itinerary and I will join.
You can join. And I mean, by next year, I might no number crew still. I mean, you can just join in.
Whoa. Did we just let something out of the bag?
Or you're gonna take my spot? I don't know. Who knows?
No, that will not.
Because you got to keep I did make the statement yesterday. I feel like the no number crew has to stay. There's a number it needs to stay at. Like you don't want it to dip too low. Like you need those people.
I agree.
Like you need the no number crew to like, you know, joke about, level it out. Right. Like you need it. So you don't want it to dip. Like if we all propose next year, and there's no number.
That would be bad. Yeah, you can't do that.
Right. So, but then again, I guess the younger generation gets older and they get significant others, and so maybe I don't know. Maybe it replenishes itself. I don't know.
And now when you're considering marriage, like the beach trip and the effect that it has on it, that should weigh heavily.
No, this was good. This was a great week. And they, like I said, they crushed it. So Saturday, Sunday, the weather was beautiful. So I think today and tomorrow it'll be a little rainy, but we'll get through it. So thank you guys for watching. Again, thank you to Weis Markets. And be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com for all your local news. I'm Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina, and we will see you tomorrow.
Later.